Hey, Heidi and Amanda, this is Steven. You there?
Hey, Steven.
Hey. We're going to give everybody a few more minutes. We're supposed to have, I think there's 3 or 4 more people that are logging on. So we'll give them a few minutes and then get started.
Cool. I'm here, Steven.
Okay. All right, we can go ahead and get started. We'll probably have a few more people join in as we go through everything, but they can, that's okay. So, all right, today we're just going to go through the Reports tab, top to bottom, and cover everything under Reports. Reports are going to be different than views. Once you pull a report, it's kind of frozen. It will not update, whereas a view, like a sales boat's new view, a view does update. So if somebody else is in there changing a boat or adding a boat, it'll update and you don't have to re-pull it. A report, when you pull it, it won't change until you pull it again. Okay? And I guess one other thing before we get started is this is the last training session in the schedule I sent out. So I'm going to come up with a new schedule in the next few weeks. If anybody has any topics they want to see covered, just send me an email, and we can cover it in a future training session. Okay, and I'm going to record this one as well. So look for an email in the next day or two if you want to look back, or anybody else at the dealership wants to watch it. Like I said, we're going to go through the Reports tab, top to bottom, and cover every report. If I'm going too fast or you have any questions, just let me know. So the first report is just the active quotations. So you select a date range, and a lot of these reports have a location. The location does not currently do anything. So even if you're a multi-location, even if you change it, it doesn't do anything. You're just pulling reports from the location you're at. If you go to service and change location, it's going to pull reports from the location you changed to. So you pull the quotation activity report by a date range, and it pulls up active quotes. And by active quotes, that means quotes to customers that have not bought a boat in that date range. So if any of these customers had bought a boat between the date range we selected, none of their quotes would show up in the system under quotation activity. A lot of the reports are linked. So if you want to see the quote, you can right-click and view it. And a lot of the reports you can save to CSV. So that just saves it to a comma-separated variable file you can open up with Excel. And sometimes we won't ask you where you want to save it. If we ever don't ask you, it always goes to Documents or My Documents. And then a lot of the reports you can also sort by any of the columns. You can also print any report by right-clicking, going to Print, or going to File and Print. If you do Print Preview, we always default to straight up and down for the page. You can flip to a landscape by going to File, Print Setup, Landscape, and the landscape kind of spreads it out and looks a lot better. So that applies to all the reports, as well as the new boats, used boats, and any of the stock lists. All right, so the next report is cash out report. It's also done by date range, and this one can be done by users. In a minute, we'll get to the end of day report, and you'll notice the end of day looks a lot like the cash out, and the end of day and the cash out report will always match. Some of the reports we pull two on, where you have a summary, which is the front copy here, and then you have a detail, which is the back copy. The summaries, you can't click to view anything. It's just kind of it's frozen, and it's just something you can use to print or look at totals. Whereas the detail, you can right-click and view the actual item. So the cash out report includes any closed work orders, any work orders or invoices that have a payment put on them. They don't have to be closed, and any boat sales. So any money taken in through that date range. If you add a payment method in the QuickBooks setup, it will add another column or row down here, and you'll get the amount collected for that payment method as well. So the summary, and then the detail where you can view each transaction. The next one on the list is cashier accountability. It's done by user and by date range. The cashier accountability includes anything that has been added to a work order or an invoice. So it doesn't have to be paid for, anything that's been added onto a work order or an invoice. And this one here, all you can do is print. It does not have a detail. The only thing missing from this report, if you're looking to add it up, is we don't have an internal column, so it could cause the numbers to be off. Clock in and clock out can also be done by user and a date range. And it's any time a user clocks in and clocks out, whether it's by barcode or by using the checkbox in the Edit Job screen. Okay. So I was playing around with the system, and you can see I clocked in and out several times quickly. The billed hours are the hours that are going to be billed to the customer or warranty, whatever it is. That's the actual hours you're going to charge for that you put in the job. The clocked hours includes clocked hours and hours that the user types in as clocked hours, and then efficiency. Let me show you what. If I go into the job here, we allow you to type in hours. So the user could type in 10 hours, and that's going to go to the clocked hours. They can clock in and out by using the checkbox here. You can also clock in and out with a barcode. So this one here is linked back to all of the jobs. You can print it, save it to CSV, and sort it as well. The customer contact information, it allows you to pull a report on any missing information. So if you just select all customers that do not have an email address, pulls every customer in the system, whether they're active or inactive, and shows you all of their other information. So you can go through and you go to Information, Customer, and type in the email address. This is a report, like I said when we started, so it will not update while you're changing things. It's kind of stuck the way it is, and to update it, you would have to pull the report again. You can print this out, whatever you need to do. We also have no phone numbers listed and incomplete address. So obviously no phone numbers, just there's no phone number in the system. Incomplete addresses is any part of the address is incomplete. Does the same thing and pulls a report where you can edit the customer. Discounts is a fairly new report, and it shows all of the discounts anybody put on a work order, invoice, or boat sale. You can obviously use just part sales, which is service, over-the-counter part sales and work orders, or vehicle sales, which is all your major units. It's done by date range, and if you include only retail sales, that does not include warranty or internal. So it shows you a report of who the cashier was, what the item was, the customer, the payment method. If you ever have two payments on one transaction, it's going to show the first payment type, what type of sale it was, the discounted amount here. So this is the actual amount applied as a discount, and the amount here is the amount the customer paid after the discount. You can open up and view it. And the cashier is the person that took the payment. Some systems are set up to where when you take a payment, the user has to log in again. Some aren't. It just depends how you're set up. The end of day is done by date range, and I'm going to pull this and we'll look at it, and then I'm going to pull the cash out again, and I'll show you how they're kind of the same report with a little more information on the end of day. This one has a summary and a detail. The summary, just like the cash out, is just available to print and to use for totals, whereas the end of day detail, you can view each transaction. Now, the end of day is going to break it out by boat sales, over-the-counter, and service, whereas the cash out just has the total collected. So that the details are always going to look the same because it's pulling the same information, so they should be identical. The summary the cash out report for the summary just includes the total collected column. The end of day breaks it out by boat sales, over the counter, and service. But they always will match. Email stock allows you to email any boats in stock by a manufacturer. It uses your MAPI email client, so if you can't email quotes or you can't email invoices or work orders, you're not going to be able to email a stock report. But you got to select the manufacturer, and then who you want to send it to. The customer or whoever you're sending it to has to be in the system, but you can add their information here. You can include ordered for stock and ordered for customers if you'd like. And it opens up your Outlook with a CSV attached of the boats in stock for that manufacturer. It's got a column for year, make, model, engine, color, purchase order, whole ID number, trailer, status, whether it's sold, stock, what it is, days on lot, and you have an MSRP column as well. So it sends it as a CSV, and you have to have your MAPI email client set up. The job description search is not too old either, and it allows you to search the job description and pulls up all jobs that match. So you can use it for canned jobs, or you can pull all the canned jobs that were done in the date range, or all jobs that just include oil filter or whatever you want to do. So you can choose to do cashiered or open, date range, and then the text. Now, the text has to match exactly to the job text when you created the job. So it pulls up all the jobs that match that description with links back and a cost in a retail column. That's the job description search. It, like I said, has to match exactly or it won't find the jobs. The next one is major unit, and there's a few reports under major unit. The delivered boats report here, done by date range, and you can do manufacturer and model year as well. So it pulls up who it was sold to, make, model, whole ID number, the date it was delivered, and the salesperson. It's also linked back to the actual boat. Okay? So that includes trailers, it includes engines, and the trailer, engine, or boat have to be delivered to be included on this list. They're not included if they're sold or completely paid for, only when they're marked as delivered. Inventory valuation. The inventory valuation is done by new, used, and on order. All going to look fairly the same. The new one we're looking at here has a invoice amount for the stock unit or the boat and a trailer invoice amount. You also have a cost. The cost is the built cost when you're using the options tree to select the options, where the invoice amount for the boat and the invoice amount for the trailer are the invoices entered. The invoices entered in the cost sheet. We allow you to right-click and add a vehicle invoice, where you can put in the actual invoice amount of the vehicle. And it shows up down here, and we'll tell you the difference so you know if you're missing any options or just a difference in the invoice and the built cost. So that's the invoice amount. This first column here is the invoice amount for the boat. The second column is the invoice amount for the trailer, and this is the built cost from the options tree. You can right-click to view them, print them, sort, save to CSV, just like the rest of the reports. Used here just includes the cost, and that's the cost put into the cost sheet under the cost column. And then you have on order, which is like the new list with a boat invoice and a trailer invoice amount. That was major unit and inventory evaluation. Next one is sales by customer. It's broken out by manufacturer. You can limit to one manufacturer. Mine's going to pull several because I've just kind of play with it and sold to a few manufacturers. Year, date range, and then compute cost using. The internal cost is the built cost from the options tree. The invoice is, if you've been entering invoices, is the invoice amount. Close these and just look at one of them. You see mine showed up with each manufacturer gets its own screen, and it just shows you who it was sold to, who the salesperson was, make, model, cost, and retail. This one's going to give you the same options: manufacturer, year, internal cost, and invoice, and they all default to the entire current year. So this includes all of the makes and models together instead of separate screens like the last one did, but the same information, just all on one screen. This is linked back to the unit. And then sales by manufacturer and model. This one does not give you a choice for the cost you'd like to use, but it includes all of them on one spreadsheet, and it includes, if any of the same models were sold, it includes the total together. You see I only sold one of each, but you would have two, and then it would include would have the average cost, average retail, average margin, and then days on lot. This one here is not linked back because it could be more than one boat. Okay, so that's major unit. The parts, first one is consumption. We did change the consumption not too long ago to include a little more information. You can do it by an account or by a supplier, and then it pulls a consumption report. Now, for the most part, it's the same information. We just added some columns. The first one we added is the miscellaneous column. It tells you if it's a miscellaneous item. Before, miscellaneous items weren't included on the consumption report. It also tells you the supplier, how many you sold, and then averages for everything. This one here, if you view it, it takes you to the part information, and you can see the history to see exactly when it was sold. Okay, so that's part consumption individual report. We do by part number. Mine's going to look the same here. If I had more transactions, it would probably look different. But the same information. History, by part number or description, just opens you up to a search box. You could search. I'll just select one here. Date ranges include invoices, work orders, cashiered or open. So it tells you exactly what work order invoice that part was added to and what it was sold for. I don't have a cost in here, but it would show you the cost as well. history by part number or description. Just gives you a search box here. Not sure if I'll be able to. Okay. So it allows you to pull multiple parts in one report. Okay. So I've typed in paint. Anything that matches paint gets pulled up in this report and shows you the history of those parts. So the last one under parts is inventory value. It can be done by account or supplier. If you have different accounts, which are done under the setup, you can show broken out by account. I just have a general parts here. If you don't assign accounts, everything's going to go under general, like mine is here. So it shows you in stock and on work orders. By supplier, I only have one supplier here. It would show them broken out as another row below the Pleasure Craft Marine. Tax liability report is done by date range, and it can be done on part sales, over the counter, or work orders, major unit vehicles, and you can choose to only include retail. This one has a summary and also has a detail report. Now, depending on how the sales tax is set up for your state, the report here, the summary, could look quite a bit different. Mine is set up to where it charges 7% for boats and 8% for everything else. So that's why I have two here. So it could look different for your state. We also made some changes to this detail report to make it a little more clear on mixed ticket items where some was non-taxable and some was taxable. So we added a non-taxable column. So this is items on a work order, the dollar amount, invoice work order, or major unit that are non-taxable. You have the taxable amount, the actual tax, and then the total. You can also view them to see exactly what happened on that transaction. So yeah, the non-taxable is a new column on this report. Technician, we got 4 reports under here. This changed fairly recently, and I don't know how it used to work, but now it uses the completed date. So the day it's marked as complete is the day it's going to show up on the billing report, the hours report, and the hours summary. Now you do have to turn that on, and it's under Setup, General, and Use Job Completion Time for Technical Hours Report. Like I said, it uses the date it's marked as complete is the date it shows up on the technician reports. So this one's broken up by type, technician, started, completed, work order, the job number, description, billed hours, clocked hours, rate per hour, and then amount billed. So this one does not show efficiency. One here in a minute will show efficiency. And you can right-click to edit or view anything. The technician clocked in just pulls a report on any techs that are clocked in right now. It is a report, so it will not update. Unfortunately, you do have to pull it each time if you want to see who's clocked in. If I'm clocked in, it tells you how long I've been clocked in and what the work order is. Hours. You can include cashiered and open. So this one here gives you the billed hours, clocked hours, and the efficiency. It's similar to the other report, the billing, but it does not show the dollar amounts here. And this one can be done for cashiered or open. Same thing here, you can right-click to edit or view anything. The last report just takes the same information and totals it up for you. So it totals it up per user and gives you a total billed, clocked, and efficiency for their total. Last reports here are the warranty. We covered these in another training session not too long ago, but I'll go over them again. You have all closed and open. So this is for any warranty items on a work order. So if you pull all, it shows you all work orders for that, or sorry, all warranty items for that date range. Doesn't matter if it's open, closed, it just shows you all of the warranty items. You can right-click to edit and get into the warranty tab where you can add any information like we talked about in the other training session to keep up with the status. Warranty closed pulls all closed for the date range with the same information. And reports warranty open just pulls all open warranty at that time. Okay, so that's all the reports from top to bottom. Anything you want me to cover again, or do you have any questions? Okay. Like I said, this is the last training session on the schedule I sent out. So if anybody has any ideas for future training sessions, please send me an email. I'll be getting a schedule together in the next week or two and send it out again. I also recorded the training session, so look for an email in the next few days to give you a link to this on YouTube. And we also have all the previous training sessions are uploaded there as well if you want to go back and watch them or anybody else wants to watch them. All right, well, if nobody's got any questions, thanks everybody for getting on this morning, and let me know if you got any ideas for future training sessions.
Thanks, Stephen.
Yep.
Thanks.